This is wild. NHL insider Elliotte Friedman has dropped an insane Calgary Flames and Toronto Maple Leafs trade report. According to his sources, talks have been escalating towards a wild reunion that would make the streets of the Six happy, but would the Flames even acknowledge this type of trade? We're going to get into all that and more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. And let's get into the F-bomb. If you're not one of the OGs of the channel, we used to have a graphic that came up and it was Elliotte Friedman. It was the Friedman bomb, essentially, but it was called the F-bomb. And we have quite the F-bomb to share with you today, as if we get into this here. So according to Elliotte Friedman, the Leafs and Flames have been working on a trade to send Nazem Kadri back to Toronto. Obviously, it's been quite a few years now since Kadri was in the blue and white over in Ontario, has gone on to win the Cup in Colorado, has had some solid seasons in Calgary, but a lot of Leafs fans would like to see Kadri back in a Leafs uniform. Flames fans, I think we're okay with getting Kadri out of Calgary if it's for the right price. Otherwise, he's a very valuable to keep around and has very quickly become a fan favorite. Of course, we love a bit of Nas. But, according to Elliotte Friedman, this is the quote he said. "One name to keep an eye on for Toronto is Nazem Kadri. I'm hearing that there are serious desires from both sides for a reunion." And he said this on Sportsnet 590, the Fan over in Toronto, of course. So, extremely interesting. It's not just like, yeah, Kadri could fit on, the Leafs again. It's saying there are some serious desires from both sides, both the Leafs camp and the Flames camp, to try and get Kadri back to Toronto. I mean, it's not necessarily that the Flames want him in Toronto specifically, but at least there's a desire to trade him, I guess is what we can say, which is pretty dang wild when it comes down to it. Now, here's a little bit of an article written by Nick Matthews here. So he writes, "Insider confirms Maple Leafs reached out to Flames about a reunion with Kadri." So a little bit of, to break it down a little further, I guess we can say. So as offseason rumors swirl around the Toronto Maple Leafs, the team finds itself with holes to fill and cap space to spend following another disappointing playoff exit. One name that continues to surface in rumors in connection with the Leafs is a familiar one, former Maple Leafs fan favorite and current Calgary Flames forward and fan favorite, Nazem Kadri. It's safe to say Maple Leafs fans miss Kadri, who has long been admired for his gritty style and tenacity, and he has reportedly drawn renewed interest from Toronto. And I know quite a few Leafs fans. I think we all do. I think essentially all of them would like to see Kadri back in Toronto, at least for a year or two in a way, which I know doesn't make sense. But let's continue. Nick Kiprios, he added on to it. So he shared this on Twitter, and also it was shared by NHL Rumor Report on X as well. So he said teams have been inquiring about Flames' Nazem Kadri. Toronto would be one of them. So it's kind of nice to have some trade rumors around Calgary that aren't totally just Rasmus Andersson. That just gets people angry these days. These ones are a little bit more fun. Let's continue. Kadri is coming off a strong season with the Flames, tallying a career-high 35 goals and finishing with 67 points, leading the team in scoring for the second straight season. Beyond the numbers, Kadri brings a tenacious two-way game, physical edge, and Stanley Cup experience. He's the prototypical Craig Berube-style player and could help shift the Leafs' identity and DNA, something that's much needed. Yes, Kadri fits perfectly in Toronto. And as you can see, obviously these reports are coming from a Toronto perspective, not a Calgary one, but he really would fit in with Toronto, as he would with most contending teams. What may be most enticing for Toronto is Kadri's contract coming in at a manageable $7 million cap hit for the next 4 seasons. Given his production, experience, and style of play, he would be an ideal fit as the Leafs' second-line center. I don't know about that. They just signed Tavares. They have Austin Matthews. They just obviously traded for Nick Roy. Nicholas Roy. I'm probably forgetting about someone else as well that the Leafs have at center, but I don't know. One of these guys would have to play wing, essentially. But either way, while there's no guarantee the Leafs can land Kadri, he's exactly the type of player the team needs. Kadri has grown significantly since his last stint in Toronto and will make a meaningful impact on and off the ice for the team. Yes, his time in Toronto, especially his playoff time, was remembered for essentially just getting suspended every single time. But it seems like his game has grown a little bit and doesn't do as many of those foolish things, shall we say. But sure, it makes sense that Kadri is an ideal fit for Toronto, But what could one of these trades look like? Because let's face it, Calgary, we want futures. That's really what we want, or we want a really good, young, already established player / prospect, I guess we can say. The Leafs, as we know, Brad Treliving is their general manager, and he's, let's face it, absolutely terrible. He has traded away, I think, their 2026 first rounder, their 2027 first rounder, and I'm pretty sure the Leafs just didn't have a 2025 first either. So they don't really have first rounders, which is what we want. And we'd rather have first rounders sooner than later because we want, the rebuild, shall we say, to be accelerated a little bit. So what the heck could these even look like? Well, one person said, give the Flames a conditional first. And then the Flames fan, of course, replied with just a laughing gif there, because what conditional first do the Leafs even have to offer? One guy said, what's funny is Riley, Cowan, and a second for Andersson and Kadri. And that's obviously coming from a Leafs fan. In no way does Calgary ever say yes to that trade. No one wants Morgan Riley. He's old, and his game has decreased significantly. His season last season was very eerily similar to Rasmus Andersson's in the way that they were by a mile, easily the worst plus minus on both the respective teams. Easton Cowan, I mean, yes, we'd say yes to that. And a second, I don't know. I feel like Kadri and Andersson might be a little bit or more valuable than that. I mean, Cowan is great, but Riley is just a throw-in at that point. And a second, I mean, do we really want seconds for guys like Kadri and Andersson? They're both worth so much. I could see something working along these lines, but that specific one, personally in my eyes, just doesn't make sense. More here. So what one person says, what does Toronto have to give Calgary for Kadri? Nothing. And it's true. Unless genuinely it's one of the, younger, good, established players, we don't really want anything from Toronto. They don't necessarily have any roster players that fit exactly what we're looking for. I know the name Nick Robertson gets thrown around. He's a winger. We're more so looking for centers. And then guys like Easton Cowan, yes, that could make sense, but there has to be more. Kadri's super, super valuable. I think a lot of people aren't giving him enough credit for that. So another one says here, who says no? To Toronto, Kadri and Raz for Yarncroke, Brandon Carlo, Ty Voigt, and a 2028 third round pick. I mean, 2028 third round pick. Who the hell cares about that? That's so far away, and it's a third rounder. So who says no? Clearly, as you can see, most people are voting Calgary says no to this. Yarncroke, we've had him. He did absolutely nothing here. We don't want him again. Brandon Carlo, extremely valuable. That's the main piece here. Ty Voigt, don't really care. He's not exactly what we're looking for. And like I said, the 2028 third rounder, not what Calgary wants. Kadri and Andersson are worth way more than that. There's not a single piece there that is more valuable than one of the Calgary pieces. So I don't know. I definitely think Calgary says no to this. I think there needs to be way more creativity. Yarncroke, are we joking around here? Obviously, I mean, no hate to Cali. He's not what we want at all. But I mean, that one was at least funny to include. So what I decided to do was ask good old artificial intelligence, our best friend ChatGPT, for what they said. So they proposed this trade. Toronto would receive Nazem Kadri with 35% salary retained by Calgary. So it would only be 4.55 mil hit to Toronto. So they could still do something else even with that, and a 2027 third round pick. Now, the return would be Easton Cowan, so the top prospect, center, RFA rights. Yes, that's exactly what we want. And a 2027 second round pick, which would be Toronto's pick. Now, obviously, that's a couple seasons away, or a couple drafts away, I should say. But it's interesting. I guess this is what ChatGPT might think is fair. I think out of the ones we've seen so far, it is the most fair, just because obviously it doesn't also include Andersson. Because, I mean, if it's Andersson and Kadri and then it's just really Cowan as a good side coming to Calgary, it just doesn't make sense. So this one I could see actually working out. Leafs fans would hate to give up Cowan, but would they do it to get Kadri? Maybe that's something for the comment section to let us know. But if we get some alternate tweaks that we could do here, this is, again, what ChatGPT they suggested. They said if Toronto needs more cap relief, Calgary could bump retention to 50% in exchange for another additional 2028 pick. Again, quite down the road. We don't really care that much. Calgary could request a 2026 mid-round pick instead of the 2027 third to accelerate retool timelines. Again, I think it would still have to be, a higher end pick, not just a mid pick, but again, that's just me. Maybe I'm a little biased. And then Toronto might want to include a depth prospect like Connor Timmins instead of Cowan if they prefer positional balance. No chance Calgary ever says yes to a trade with Connor Timmins. I'm sorry. The difference between Timmins and Cowan is literally the difference between Iginla and Chris Butler when it comes to the Calgary Flames of the past. So I don't know. It could happen. Rumors are rumors. If a trade did happen, it would genuinely be a huge blockbuster. But feel free to drop some trade proposals down below and try and make them at least a little bit realistic. Who knows, might be comment of the day in the next video. And speaking of which, let's get into the comment of the day for today's video, which comes from yesterday's video, which was obviously going over the first day of free agency. Nothing too special happening. But Lawrence here said, glad to see Connie was quiet on the free agents. Usually overpaying for marginal players won't get us to the next level. Stay the path and develop our young talent. Couldn't agree more. Might as well not take away roster spots and might as well keep some of that cap room. So not a bad thing at all. I think it really did just go to plan yesterday. No big surprises at all. Maybe was expecting some sort of veteran to sign, those classic 1 year, 1 mils, but that was more of our offseason last year. So again, staying the path is a good way to put it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to what you saw here today and have a wonderful rest of your day.